A new report shows we're paying more for prescription drugs than a year ago. The price of brand name drugs is up 16%, costing Americans over $1,000 a year. So this morning, we are taking a closer look at what's fueling those price hikes and also, just as importantly, what you can do to save some cash. Healthcare analyst Seth Denson joins us now live to talk about that. Good to see you, Seth. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Jeanette, good morning. Good to see you.
Morning. You know, just today alone, we talked about some increases that we've seen with cotton. We're seeing cotton increase, which means our clothing might be more expensive, groceries going up. There are some things you can't exactly opt out of, right? You just got to pay up. This is one of those things. So the question is, why is this happening, first of all?
Well, listen, they say that there's two guarantees in life, right? Death, taxes, and I would say the third is that prescription drug costs are going to go up. At least they are going to, as long as we have the structure and the system that we have now. This year, though, it's compounded by a couple of different things, I think. Listen, just like everybody else, I think drug companies, by and large, are struggling to get products. You've got the vast majority of what are called APIs, which are effectively the pharmaceutical ingredients that go into making our drugs. Well, they come from overseas, and just like you or I maybe trying to get clothing or furniture, drug companies, they're trying to get ingredients to make these drugs, and that's playing an impact. So this year, you mentioned name brand drugs. In general, drugs, there's over 400 drugs that are seeing about a 28% price increase this year, which means at the end of the day, that's going to hit the wallets of you and me and everybody else that's filling drugs.
You know, Seth, a lot of people are going to hear this, and they're going to say, does it really have to go up, or do pharmaceutical companies just have a captive audience? The pandemic is going on, and is part of this them saying, hey, you know what, if there's any year we could get away with this without that much outrage, it's this one. Is that the case, at least partially?
Well, listen, I'm not in those rooms. I don't get invited to those Christmas parties either, but nonetheless, I think that that's probably what's going on here. I mean, there's no question right now that I would say that pharmaceuticals, who historically have been the evil gorilla, so to speak, of the healthcare sector, well, right now, we're kind of indebted to them, right? Specifically Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, these companies that really, and to their credit, dropped everything to go create vaccines when the world needed them the most. We've got to appreciate them. So, yeah, I think that there's probably some aspects of that. In a normal year, let's go back to 2019, we saw pharmaceutical pricing increases around 17% across the board. So I think that, you know, listen, this is a constant. There might be a little bit more. Last year we only saw 2.9% average. So maybe they're making up the difference, and they're thinking, well, maybe there's a little bit of a friendly audience, or at least distractions on other things people won't pay attention.
All right. So one thing we do really want folks to pay attention to is ways that you can maybe save a couple dollars here and there. So what can folks do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Two things is recognize that sometimes insurance, it's not your friend when it comes to prescription drugs. There may be better deals out there. And so what I would tell anybody is first and foremost, go online and do some research on where the most cost-effective place is to get your drug. Use resources like CleverRx or GoodRx to price shop. But also, if you're taking a name brand drug, look to see if there are resources that are purchasing those drugs and distributing them effectively. But buyer beware. I always tell, do your research, check their credibility, check the Better Business, and don't do financial transactions online unless you understand the source and know the source you're sending money to.
What do you see for the future here? Obviously, we don't know when the pandemic is definitively going to end. Is there anything that people can do now to maybe protect or prepare for the future, considering things are a bit volatile?
Yeah, listen, I would always tell people to obviously you want to talk to your doctor, but be conscientious to ask questions of your doctor. If you're getting a prescription drug or doing things like that, you always want to make sure you're talking to your doctor to find out, is this the best option? Are there lower cost options? The other thing that I would tell people to do, and this is critically important right now as we're seeing supply chain disruptions, don't shortchange yourself. Don't not go fill your drug. Again, maybe ask your doctor if you're on a 30-day supply, is there any way I could get a 90-day supply or extend that out? Use mail order services. Do something to make sure that if that supply chain disruption occurs to you, you're not going to be impacted by it as much as somebody else who didn't plan ahead.
That's a really good point. Plan ahead, and if you can afford it, certainly, yeah, get more if you can. Seth Denson, always good to have you on, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
All right.